New satellite images are raising urgent questions about whether the United States is preparing for a major confrontation in the Middle East. Commercial satellite imagery released by Chinese sources confirms a massive concentration of U.S. Air Force support aircraft at Prince Sultan Airbase, including 16 KC-135 aerial refueling tankers and 6 E-3 Sentry airborne warning and control aircraft. 6 E-3s in one location is not routine, it is extraordinary. The United States operates just 31 E-3 Sentry aircraft worldwide, and due to age and maintenance constraints, only a fraction are mission-capable at any given time. The deployment to Saudi Arabia represents the bulk of the globally operational fleet. This buildup is unfolding as part of what analysts describe as the largest U.S.-led military surge against Iran since the 1990 to 1991 Gulf War. But Prince Sultan is not the only flashpoint. Satellite imagery also shows at least 16 KC-135 tankers positioned at Al Udeid Air Base, one of Washington's most critical regional hubs in Qatar capital. The refueling aircraft are essential. Western fighter jets typically have shorter combat ranges than many Russian or Chinese counterparts, making aerial refueling a strategic necessity for sustained strike operations. Without tankers, large-scale air campaigns stall before they begin. Adding to the military posture, Imagery previously confirmed the deployment of a U.S. Army MIM-104 Patriot air defense system at Al Udeid, as well as a THAAD anti-missile battery at Muwafaq Salti Air Base. This layered missile shield suggests preparation not only for offensive operations, but also for potential Iranian retaliation. The reliance on KC-135 tankers has intensified amid mounting reliability concerns with the newer KC-46 fleet. One KC-46 reportedly broke down while transiting through Portugal, reinforcing operational dependence on the aging but proven KC-135 platform. Yet the most striking element of this deployment remains the E-3 Sentry. The aircraft carries one of the largest airborne radars ever fielded, acting as the nerve center of the aerial battlespace. It tracks aircraft, coordinates fighters, and can even guide missiles fired from jets, ships, or ground batteries toward their targets. During the Gulf War, the majority of air-to-air kills were achieved with E-3 support. However, the aircraft is aging, and critics argue it is increasingly vulnerable. Availability rates have declined, avionics are considered outdated, and its radar performance against modern stealth platforms has been openly questioned. In March 2022, General Kenneth Wilsbach, commander of U.S. Pacific Air Forces at the time, acknowledged that the E-3 struggled to detect China's J-20 stealth fighter. He stated bluntly that the E-3's sensors were not capable in the 21st century against stealth platforms, adding that the aircraft simply could not see such targets far enough out to give U.S. forces a decisive advantage. He argued for accelerating the transition to the newer E-7 wedgetail system. Maintenance issues have previously left entire theaters without AWACS coverage, including periods in the Pacific and even gaps in mainland U.S. air defense support. So why deploy so many now? Iran does not field modern stealth fighters. Its air force relies largely on aging aircraft, and while Tehran has developed advanced drones such as the Shahed 191, it does not possess fifth-generation manned platforms comparable to China's J-20. In this context, the E-3 may still offer decisive battlespace awareness against Iranian assets. The question now is intent. A buildup of this magnitude, tankers for sustained strike reach, missile defense systems for protection, and concentrated AWACS for command and control, signals preparation for high-intensity operations. Whether this is deterrence or preparation for escalation remains unclear. What is certain is that the Middle East is witnessing a military concentration not seen in more than 3 decades, and satellite imagery, not official briefings, is revealing the scale. As tensions with Iran simmer and as support aircraft quietly fill desert runways under the Saudi sun, the strategic picture is sharpening. The United States appears to be positioning not just for defense, but for the possibility of decisive air dominance.
The clash between the United States and Iran is no longer simmering in the background. It's expanding, intensifying, hardening. And now, it's hitting the heart of Tehran's economic lifeline. On February 25, 2026, the U.S. Department of the Treasury unleashed one of its most aggressive financial crackdowns yet, targeting more than 30 individuals, companies, and vessels tied to Iran's so-called shadow fleet and its weapons procurement networks. This isn't just another sanctions package. This is economic warfare aimed at the engine room of Iran's power. Two pillars are now in Washington's crosshairs. First, the ships that move Iranian oil in the shadows. Second, the networks that turn that oil money into missiles, drones, and military hardware. Oil out, weapons back in. A closed loop, and the U.S. wants to break it. For years, Iran's shadow fleet has operated in murky waters, tankers switching flags, changing names, hopping between jurisdictions like Panama, the Marshall Islands, Liberia, Hong Kong. Vessels flagged in Comoros, Barbados, Palau, Vanuatu. A floating shell game. Since 2023, these ships have quietly transported millions of barrels of LPG, fuel oil, condensate, petrochemicals, feeding buyers across Asia and beyond. Many of them sanctioned already, many falsely flagged, many operating without transparent insurance. This is not random activity. It's structured, layered, engineered to survive pressure. And according to maritime intelligence estimates, roughly 430 tankers are engaged in Iranian trade today. More than half falsely flagged, nearly 9 out of 10 sanctioned. That's not evasion, that's an entire parallel shipping system. But Washington's message is clear. If oil revenue fuels Iran's military machine, then oil revenue becomes the battlefield. Because this is no longer just about crude shipments. Treasury officials didn't stop at tankers. They went after procurement networks, the middlemen sourcing missile propellants, UAV engine components, precursor chemicals like sodium perchlorate. These are not abstract materials. They are the building blocks of ballistic missiles. They are components in Shahed series drones. They are tools of asymmetric warfare. The link is direct. Oil exports generate cash, cash funds procurement, procurement builds weapons, weapons reshape battlefields. The U.S. is trying to sever that chain. This latest action operates under multiple executive authorities, part of a broader maximum pressure doctrine. And the numbers tell the story. In 2025 alone, more than 875 people, vessels, and aircraft tied to Iranian sanctions evasion were blacklisted. That's not symbolic, that's systematic. But what makes this round different? Integration. It isn't targeting a single ship or a single transaction. It's targeting ecosystems, maritime transport, financial conduits, weapons intermediaries, cross-border facilitators. It's a network war, and the shadow fleet is adapting, ship-to-ship transfers, sometimes 3 or 4 before cargo reaches its destination. AIS spoofing, fake IMO identities, manipulated tracking signals, ownership transfers across low oversight registries, vessels disappearing from digital maps, then reappearing under new names. This is cat and mouse on a global scale. And now, enforcement is expanding beyond ships. Insurers, ship managers, classification societies, banks, any entity touching designated networks faces exposure. Secondary sanctions risk is rising. Foreign financial institutions facilitating transactions tied to these networks could lose access to U.S. correspondent accounts. That's not a slap on the wrist, that's financial isolation. For maritime stakeholders, this is a warning shot. Compliance is no longer about checking static sanctions lists. It's about behavior, patterns, ownership transitions, chartering anomalies, insurance gaps. It's about tracking the ecosystem, not just the vessel. Because the shadow fleet is not static. It evolves. When one ship is sanctioned, another emerges. When one flag closes, another opens. Pressure creates mutation, and Washington knows it. This is bigger than shipping lanes. This is about geopolitical escalation. Every tanker seized, every procurement agent designated, every bank cut off, it tightens the screws. Tehran sees this as economic strangulation. Washington frames it as national security necessity. And as tensions rise across the Middle East, from proxy networks to drone warfare, financial pressure becomes a front line. No missiles launched, no troops deployed, but billions of dollars frozen, assets blocked, networks disrupted, and the message is unmistakable. Oil money will not flow freely into missile silos. Yet history shows something else. Sanctions slow systems, they complicate logistics, they increase cost, but they rarely eliminate networks entirely. Instead, they push them deeper underground, more opaque, more creative, more entrenched. And that raises the stakes even further, because the more pressure builds, the more each side hardens. The US expands enforcement, Iran refines evasion. The financial chessboard grows more complex. So where does this lead? For now, maritime enforcement remains central. As long as petroleum exports fund Iran's strategic programs, tankers will remain targets. Procurement agents will remain exposed, and financial intermediaries will remain under scrutiny. This is not a one-off headline, it's a sustained campaign, a long economic duel unfolding across oceans, banks, and supply chains. The Iran-US clash is no longer confined to rhetoric or regional flashpoints. It is embedded in shipping registries, in insurance certificates, in shell companies, in chemical supply orders. It is everywhere, and it is intensifying on every level. The question now isn't whether the pressure continues, it's how far each side is willing to go. Because in this escalating standoff, the battlefield is global, and the front lines run straight through the world's shipping lanes.